Science fiction mixes the supernatural and the vast unknown of science with the real world, making something truly creative and spectacular. And it all started with A Trip to the Moon, a silent film by George Méliès in 1902. A Trip to the Moon tells the story of scientists and philosophers dressed as wizards, for some reason, using a large cannon to explore the final frontier, space. The film breaks the rules of science in a fantastic and creative way. This film gave birth to a plethora of films and sci-fi filmmakers willing to break the rules of science and social norms. Now, sci-fi had existed long before film, but when it had been implemented into film, it took Hollywood by storm. Writers and filmmakers were only bound by their imagination, and it launched the film industry into a new era that gained it enormous traction and popularity. The Lumiere brothers had strongly believed that filming should only be for realistic films, unaltered. George wanted to challenge that ideology, and that gave birth to A Trip to the Moon, a 100% science fiction film. George made filmmaking creative and unique.
Now you'll suffer for it. You're crazy to know who I am, aren't you? All right, I'll show you. There's a souvenir for you. And one for you. I'll show you who I am and what I am.
Later down the line, science fiction started to become more realistic and grounded, starting to follow real science but loosely. Films started to make adaptations of books and stories such as Frankenstein, Dracula, and The Wolfman, along many more. As filmmaking matured, filmmakers implemented social aspects into their works, giving their films a deeper meaning, such as Fritz Lang's Metropolis, made in 1927. Metropolis dives into social class. In 1927, the world was changing dramatically, with the age of technology ever approaching. Many feared industrialization. The movie shows a clash between man and machine, but also man versus man, showing those in power high above everyone else, while those lacking are beneath the surface working their lives away to keep those in power in power. This is a clear-cut reflection of the backlash of World War I. This movie perfectly uses science fiction to portray real-life issues, which grounds the audience. Science fiction has always had a habit of reflecting the events of real life. Ishiro Honda's Godzilla, made in 1954, reflected the fear the Japanese had held after World War II. Gojira originally was an offspring of the atomic bomb. Ishiro had fought in the war. He had seen the grounds of Hiroshima, and he carried that horror with him. Godzilla is a horror film, and that was what Ishiro had intended. He experienced the horror of war and atomic radiation firsthand. Godzilla reflects war, devastation, the fear of technology, and atomic radiation. Sci-fi has skyrocketed the film industry by incorporating science and the vast unknown through films. Filmmakers use science fiction to portray social issues, from the rich using the poor to stay in power, to the fear of nuclear fallout of war. And it all started with A Trip to the Moon.
What spring is like on Jupiter and Mars. In other words, hold my hand. In other words,